what I'm going to show you today, it's going to prove that the whole time I've been doing my channel, I've been on point since the very beginning. Now, some had speculated whether or not there's a connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, I'm going to show you two things that prove that there is a connection between Jeffrey Epstein and the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. Now, one of my subscribers, Tony Roberts from Australia, who I've done several videos with, she sent me some information on the so-called Epstein list connected to Watchtower. So this is a screenshot from her cell phone, and you can see by the bottom that this is from justice.gov. So if you want to look this up yourself, you can go to this website, justice.gov, where, as you can see, the story right here, it says Department of Justice publishes 3.5 million responsive pages in compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Going back to what she sent me on her phone, it looks like what she did was she went into this data in the search Watchtower from all of these pages of the Epstein files. And the first thing that I find very troublesome is there's an email from, so this looks to be, if I'm reading this correctly, this is being sent to Jeffrey Epstein by one of these people under investigation that was working with Epstein. And I'm going to just read what it says at the bottom. So it says, I want to see this last year in London, and it is worth visiting the next time you are there. And was thinking of doing this in Brooklyn Heights at the building the Watchtower was selling, but got too involved in 82 and hotel. So I don't know if there's more to this email, or is this just the part that she sent me? But think about what this is saying. So they're talking about doing something, and he mentions that he was thinking of doing this in Brooklyn Bethel, the Watchtower building, the one that they're selling. So this must have been around the time that maybe before they sold it or in the process of selling it. And he says, but got too involved with 82 in hotels. So let's just use common sense. When he says he got too involved with 82 in hotel, that's something suspicious, probably with the sex trafficking going on. So this is what I would call circumstantial evidence. Now, before I even explain this, let me just give you this example of circumstantial evidence to be very clear on what I'm showing you. When O.J. Simpson first got arrested for allegedly killing his wife, which he probably did, his wife gone on record saying, my husband's threatening to kill me. She's told her friends, if anything happens to me, my husband said he's going to kill me. So after she ends up murdered, the police contact OJ and they want him to come in for questioning. So just when they contacted him over the phone to ask him to come in for questioning, he runs from the police. He goes on the run. So, and then the police chase him down, and then he's going to kill himself. He ends up not killing himself, obviously, but that's what you call circumstantial evidence. The fact that she gone on record saying, my husband's going to kill me, that doesn't prove that he did it. And the fact that he ran from the police also doesn't prove that he did it, but it's common sense, right? Circumstantial evidence. Another word for circumstantial evidence is common sense, right? The reason he ran from the police when they wanted him to come in from questioning is because he's guilty. He did it. That's why he was running from the police, plain and simple. But somehow he got away with it anyway because he's got money. But anyway, so I just wanted to give that quick example of the difference or what exactly circumstantial evidence is. It's basically common sense. So going back to this conversation between Jeffrey Epstein and one of his acquaintances, whatever sex trafficking thing that he was involved in with 82 and hotel, which sounds like they're also writing it in code a little bit so it doesn't discriminate too much. He's saying that he thought about doing it at the Brooklyn Bethel building. So why would these elite pedophiles, why would somebody even come up with the idea of saying, I thought about doing this in the Watchtower building? Well, obviously, the only thing that makes sense is he must have been in the Watchtower building doing this type of stuff, or is aware of this type of stuff going on in the Watchtower building. Nobody who's into this type of stuff is just going to randomly look at the outside of the Watchtower building from the outside and say, yeah, I think we should do something there. He would have to been in this building and have done something in the building for it to even be on his radar of saying, I thought about using the Watchtower building. So that's just common sense. I'm not going to try to convince anybody. It's common sense that there's some sort of trafficking, something going on in a Watchtower. Why that building would even come up on the radar of these elite pedophiles to say we wanted to use the Watchtower building, but we've got two involved in these other two, 82 and hotel. Now, another thing I want to explain is that on the very first video I did on my page, this is over 2 years ago, the very first video titled Jehovah's Witnesses Are the New World Order, edited for YouTube. I'm just going to play to you a small clip of what I said over 2 years ago about child trafficking and Watchtower headquarters. This right here is the old headquarters of the Watchtower organization in Brooklyn, New York. So the address is 25 Columbia Heights. So they now moved their location to Warwick, New York, but this is Brooklyn Bethel. It could be a coincidence that it's shaped like a pyramid like this. You never know with these people what you're dealing with. But what's interesting about this building is that they sold it to Jared Kushner, of all people. So that's kind of a weird coincidence.
Wow.
That he's talking about living forever, and that just happens to be who the Jehovah's Witnesses sell their ward headquarters to, their property to his company. That's a strange coincidence. And another thing, I can't verify this because I don't have the type of resources, but some other people who have researched the Watchtower, some have claimed that under this building there's an underground tunnel system, and some had even said that they believe there could be child trafficking that they're involved in. What better place to hide something like that under Watchtower? Someone nobody's going to expect. Now, I got called a conspiracy theorist for saying that. And not only did I question it, but as I said in the video, that I had first heard that theory of other people who said the same thing, that they wonder if child trafficking was going on in the Watchtower building. And one more little side point I want to make too is you see how this video got flagged? It got flagged with a warning that says, New World Order is a term often used by conspiracy theorists which speculate about a secret emerging totalitarian world government, right? So I was conspiracy theorist for saying that, but when people have warnings like that in their videos, so let me just say it like this. For any XJW who has not figured this out yet, a conspiracy theorist is basically the same thing as you being a so-called apostate. A so-called apostate is somebody who is trying to expose the dark truth of the Watchtower organization, right? So they get slandered as, oh, they're an apostate, don't listen to them, they're lying, they're crazy. That's exactly what a so-called conspiracy theorist is. It's basically somebody that's going to question the pandemic, 9/11, and all that stuff, right? So just for any XJW who hasn't figured that out yet, that's all a conspiracy theorist is basically the equivalent of what Watchtower calls an apostate. But anyway, so I got that warning on this video to warn anybody that watches that, that the New World Order, it's a conspiracy term, right? It's not real. But anyway, so you tell me what you think the odds are. So again, I've gone on record over 2 years ago in the very first video I've ever did. I put that theory out there. And I've heard it from other people who came before me who said the same thing about child trafficking in Brooklyn, Bethel, in the underground tunnel system. Now you have a connection to the Watchtower organization and these Epstein files, basically saying that they wanted to use the Watchtower building for something shady, right? So again, they're not going to just see a building from the outside and say we want to use that. They would have to been in that building and have used that building for something similar for them to say they wanted to use that particular building. And for those of you who are watching this who are actually Jehovah's Witnesses waking up, like think about it again, the circumstantial evidence. Why would these guys, these Epstein people, why would that building even come up on their radar for those of you who are still Jehovah's Witnesses? But like I said in the beginning of this video, that I'm showing you that I've been on point this whole time. This is the very first video I've ever done, and I went on record saying that. And now look, it's in the Epstein files about them wanting to use the Watchtower building for exactly what I said I thought was going on underground Bethel. But it gets worse. So let's go on to the next thing. Now, in Tani Roberts' message to me, notice what she says next. She says, also, we were spot on the money with the butterfly symbol. Well done, Quinn. So what does she mean that we were spot on the money with the butterfly symbol? Well, in the Jeffrey Epstein files, there's something called the Butterfly Trust that was also exposed in these Epstein files. So again, you can go to that government website and look up Butterfly Trust yourself to get all the documents on it. But just a quick Google search on what's being exposed about it is, it says how the Butterfly Trust was a specific Epstein-created entity that opened accounts at Deutsche Bank in 2014, often identified in regulatory reports and legal proceedings as a primary vehicle for Jeffrey Epstein's financial transactions, including those related to sex trafficking operations. Right? So then, like what I have highlighted in the middle of the page, to cover up criminal activity and felicitate payments to individuals who recruited young women. So I'm not going to get into all this information with the Butterfly Trust, but in simple terms, he named it the Butterfly Trust, and it was connected with the pedo stuff he was doing. So the Butterfly Trust was connected to the whole pedophile ring he was using. He did it under something called the Butterfly Trust. Now, I mentioned before many times about these so-called elite or deep state people, and I brought this up many times before, how they have to tell you the truth and symbols and signs and movies and things like that. So they always have to tell you the truth in plain sight. So of all the names that he could have named this trust fund, why do you think he chose the Butterfly Trust to do sex trafficking with young women? Well, in the video that I did titled "The Video That Will Shut Watchtower Down, What Was Found in Caleb's Room Part 5, in that video, I exposed how the Watchtower organization is putting known pedophile symbols planted in Caleb and Sophia, which is a kid's cartoon, right? So they're putting pedophile symbols in a children's cartoon. Obviously, they're sending a sign. Like I said, they always have to give you signs and symbols to what they're really doing. And one of the signs that I exposed in that video is particularly the butterfly, the pink and purple butterfly. Not that it always has to be that color, but the butterfly is also one of these known pedophile symbols. But when Watchtower planted it in Caleb and Sophia, they even made sure that they got the color correct to the actual symbol that's flagged by the FBI. And I also expose in that video the overall message of children sexual sacrifice, which is in Caleb and Sophia connected with butterflies. And all of my, if anybody's new to my channel, so all of my videos based on the Caleb and Sophia cartoons, what was found in Caleb's room, there's sexual stuff with children in almost all these Caleb and Sophia cartoons. So if you're new to my channel, I'm not going to rehash everything that I brought out, but you can watch these videos to see all the sick child stuff that they put in their cartoons. But going back to this Jeffrey Epstein thing, so again, they always have to give you symbols and signs and clues. Part of it is the way they understand karma. They feel they have to tell you in plain sight. But not only do they feel they have to tell you in plain sight because of the way they understand karma, it also has to do with so these people in these networks, so they know. It's like a code language for those in the know. So those in the know who know about the butterfly, that is partly why the Caleb and Sophia cartoons keep putting that butterfly in there. For those in the know, the same thing, which is Epstein Trust Fund, right? Just the name of it, they're telling you what it's about. And this kind of stuff right here, like I said, going back to the very first video I've ever done, when I called it and I talked about child trafficking in Bethel, and now these Epstein partners of his, they want to use the Watchtower Bethel for a reason. But this is the reason why channels like mine have been heavily shadow banned and suppressed, right? So I also did a video on my channel titled "It Caught My Channel Being Manipulated" with special guests Carol and King Tony. So in that video, it starts off by me showing you that video that I put out, the pedo symbols and Caleb and Sophia videos, my channel got heavily attacked when I tried to put that video, and I got blocked from sharing it. So there's a reason that my channel gets attacked the way that it does. And not only my channel, even I get attacked by other XJWs. Now, it's interesting that I put out information like this, and this Epstein, this Watchtower stuff and Epstein, it's validating my channel, right? It's validating what I said about Brooklyn Bethel, and it's validating these butterfly symbols and everything else I've been saying about Watchtower. There is no other XJW channel that is coming out with stuff this deep, that's factual, that you can find and you can research and see what I'm saying is true. And I put this stuff out there way before this Epstein list even was released. Now, I'm not saying that to brag in any way, but the reason I bring that up is because why do you think there's been a concentrated effort within the XJW community to attack me, even over stupid stuff, right? I got attacked because I expose an online bully, right? Dumb stuff like that, stupid rumors going around. Like, why do you think there's so many XJWs that have gone out of their way to try to attack me and ruin my reputation in the XJW community? Well, this is what I think. It's because you have certain people who are controlled opposition who are influencing the community to try to attack me. Why? Because I am a real threat with the information that I put out, like this, for example. I was right about everything I've been saying. So I'm not going to get much into it, but this is the reason why my channels like mine, even myself, have been attacked on a high level, not just like stupid little gossip. I'm not even going to get into all the different ways that people have been trying to silence me. But anyway, so that's the reason, period. If you want to know like why people have attacked me, it's because of what I'm putting out, plain and simple. But anyway, just to recap, if you're new to my channel, watch that video, the video that will shut Watchtower down, because it will shut Watchtower down. And the fact that it's connected with this Epstein stuff, look at the way people are enraged about Epstein. Epstein's dead, right? People want to see justice for a guy that's dead. Well, guess what? If the Americans knew that Watchtower was worse than Epstein, and these people in Watchtower are still very much alive, like, do you understand this organization would get shut out if more XJW channels were putting out content like mine? And I've said this before, and I know last time I got some backlash from it, but I'm going to say it again. There's information out there that will shut this organization down, and XJW channels, you need to start putting out this type of stuff that will shut these people down. Because if America could see clearly what I'm showing you, the connection of what Watchtower is doing in Epstein, do you understand that Watchtower would be shut down? And I want to conclude just what Byron said about my channel, right? So just I want to close out with what Byron said on this channel when I did a video with Byron.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. You do a great job on breaking things down. You are a very smart man, and I appreciate the work you do exposing this governing body and a lot of the information that you're putting out. I think that if the mass majority of people saw what you're doing, they would have been left this organization a long time ago. You said you have a video that could shut down Watchtower, and I 100% agree with that.